Today I'm going to be talking about the mysterious death of former police minister as well as South African ambassador to France, Emmanuel Nkosinathi Mthethwa, affectionately known as Nathi. Now, he plunged to his death from the 22nd floor of the Hyatt Hotel on the 29th of September 2025, and his body was found the next day in a courtyard by a security guard at around 11 a.m. Now, this has made international headlines, mainly because of the circumstances surrounding his death. We know that the windows on the 22nd floor are not supposed to open, but the window was somehow forced open. And we also know that he had been name dropped. His name had been dropped in a controversial commission that is currently occurring in South Africa at the moment, the Madlanga Commission, where Lieutenant General Nkosinathi alleged that the former police minister, Emmanuel Nkosinathi Mthethwa, was involved in some sort of interference. Now, I'll be getting into all the circumstances surrounding his disappearance and his death, as well as the allegations that are against him. If you like what I do, consider liking this video, consider subscribing, and memberships are available for those who wish to be members. The money goes towards the plant fund behind me, and I've set them for as low as possible, which is R14.99 a month. Now, we know that Emmanuel Nkosinathi Mthethwa was acting irrationally before his death. We know that his wife was concerned about him, that she was the one who reported him missing and phoned the police because he had sent her messages saying, "I'm sorry, I'm apologizing," and then he just went missing. And we know that his phone was uncovered at a botanical garden in Paris. We know that the Paris police immediately became concerned, and they brought in canines to search the botanical gardens as well as the woods surrounding the area, concerned that he might have taken his own life in the woods. We also know that is the last time that his security team sighted him. Now, according to reports that are just coming out of the media, Nathi Mthethwa checked himself into the Hyatt Hotel. It is a very high building, and we also know that he requested the 22nd floor. He requested the room that he was put in, and we also know that when the room was searched, there were no signs of substances, there were no signs of a struggle, and the only thing that the police found was a pair of scissors that had been used to force open a window, because windows that high are made not to open for the specific reason to not allow people to jump from them. But it appears as though Nkosinathi used a pair of scissors to open the safe, to break the safety mechanism and open the window the full way.
All right, let's get more reaction now to Mthethwa's passing. Joining us in studio is International Relations Department spokesperson, Crispin Phiri. Mr. Phiri, good evening to you. Thank you very much for making time for us. A difficult conversation this has to be, partly because what has happened here is too far away from South Africa. So let's start with you walking us through what happened on Monday.
Well, we can't at this point provide a comprehensive commentary on the passing of the late ambassador. This is because the matter is still under investigation from the French authorities, and the family would have to be furnished with an official report that would then detail what the cause of death was. So at this point, we wouldn't be able to provide extensive details. Yeah. But safe to say that, as we understand it, the ambassador's wife, upon learning that the late ambassador was not yet back from a function, she then informed the police late at night that something is amiss, and that's when the search began late last night. And at about 1 o'clock South African time today, we got confirmation from the French authorities, through the ambassador's wife as well, that indeed the very sad news is true. Until we have a comprehensive report from the investigative authorities.
Any clues about when the French authorities might conclude their investigations? Because there are things that are just not making sense.
Yeah.
The ambassador leaves, as you're telling us now, leaves a function, but instead of going to his residence, he books himself to a hotel, which is understandably not too far from where he stays, and he takes the floor number 22. He is then later discovered outside the hotel, assumed to have plunged, having forced a window open. But here's also an important factor, and that is that his phone is discovered somewhere in a park.
So I think, again, those are reports. It's not the official version from the authorities. And I think once we have the official version from the authorities, we'll have the full picture of how the ambassador ended up at the hotel, what the nature of the function was, and all of that. That would be really brought to bear once an official report is in place. Yeah. But in the absence of that, we would then be drawing on various versions from various individuals, which, you know, we would essentially be walking down a rabbit hole. So I would really urge us to confine ourselves until we have an official
Fair
report.
point.
And to the question of how long it would take.
Mystery continuing to surround the death of South Africa's ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa, whose body was found outside a Paris hotel. Officials suspect the 58-year-old may have died by suicide, with an investigation into his death now underway. Newsroom Africa's correspondent Simon Marks joining us live from the French capital with more on the story. Simon, good morning, bonjour, I guess I should say. Although it's not a good morning for the family of our French ambassador, Nathi Mthethwa. There are some curious details that emerged at the outset of the story. What else do we know that fills in the gap and gives us a fuller picture of his last moments?
Well, Iman, good morning to you. It's dawn here in Paris, as it is across South Africa. And this is the Hyatt Regency, Paris Étoile, where Nathi Mthethwa appears to have taken his life yesterday. And we're getting more information now from the French judicial police, who are investigating this incident, about the hours that led up to his body being found after he appears to have thrown himself from a window on the 22nd floor of this skyscraper. It is the tallest hotel in Paris. According to Le Parisien, a newspaper here, basing this on sources that it has within the judicial police here in Paris, his disappearance was reported on Monday by Nathi Mthethwa's wife, Felicizwe Buthelezi, who said that she had last seen him shortly before 4:30 in the afternoon local time. That's 4:30 in the afternoon across South Africa as well on Monday, as he left his Paris residence to go to a cocktail party, part of his ambassadorial duties here in the French capital. The prosecutor's office says that the diplomat actually went here to the Hyatt Hotel instead, where he had, according to French prosecutors, booked a room about 10 days earlier. So that clearly indicates the possibility of pre-planning of all of this, not least because we also know from the police investigation that they believe that he specifically requested a room on a high floor, the 22nd floor of this hotel. I think the hotel has a total of 34 stories, so certainly at the upper levels of the Hyatt Regency. That same night, Monday night at 9:30, Nathi Mthethwa sent what his wife described as a final worrying message over his cell phone. He offered her his apologies and expressed his intention to end his life. After that, at some point, his cell phone was found abandoned in the Bois de Boulogne, which is a wooded area, the outer fringes of which lie not very far from this hotel here in Paris. And it was on Tuesday morning at around 11:10 in the morning that a Hyatt Hotel security guard made the discovery of Nathi Mthethwa's body in what is being described as an interior courtyard. There is a sort of a promontory that wraps around the lower levels of the hotel, and it may well be that that is where his body was discovered. They found on the 22nd floor of this hotel, in the room that he was occupying, evidence that he had tried to force the window open using a pair of scissors that was reportedly found at the scene, there's only a thin sliver of window in the rooms of this hotel that you can actually open. So it would have taken considerable work to create a sufficiently large opening, but that is what appears to have taken place. And most importantly of all, of course, the French prosecutor's office is saying that they believe that this act was intentional and that no third parties were involved. In other words, they are continuing to investigate this and do believe that Nathi Mthethwa took his own life and that there was no foul play involved in any of this.
I mean, again, you know, as you sharing that narration and all of the details in trying to fill in the hours between that correspondence to his wife and his body ultimately being found, so many questions arise. Simon, we can't ignore the fact that there is a commission of inquiry that's happening in South Africa in which his name came up. But I want
his death and the circumstances surrounding his death appear to be that of a suicide, although we do not know the full circumstances around this, because this is suspicious in my own opinion. Because we know on the 19th of September 2025, Police Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, Lieutenant General Nkosinathi, alleged at the Madlanga hearing that Mthethwa had interfered in a case against a former head of crime intelligence, and we were not sure if he was due to appear before the commission. We're not sure if he was summoned, but we know his name has been dropped a few times. And Nkosinathi said that back in 2011, he alleged that Mthethwa forced the Inspector General for Intelligence, Faith Radabe, to withdraw a case against Richard Mdluli. Now, Richard Mdluli, he was accused of doing a whole lot of corrupt things. Basically, he was the former head of crime intelligence, and he was accused of abuse of the police secret slush fund between 2009 and 2012, which resulted in him using that money. The allegations are that he used that money for private trips and for the safe houses he used them to stay in. And General Nkosinathi at the time was the acting police commissioner, and he wanted to go ahead with the prosecution against Mdluli, but he claims that he failed due to political interference because Mthethwa, who was Minister of Police at that time, he interfered and he asked the Faith Radabe to withdraw the case.
I received a phone call from the Minister of Police, Nathi Mthethwa, commissioners. I went to his residence in Waterkloof. And when I arrived there, the Inspector General is sitting on one side of the table, Mr. Mthethwa is sitting on the other side of the table. The minister says to me that I forced the Inspector General of Intelligence to write the letter that says, Mkhwebi is wrong, this matter must go to court. She said, I forced her. Then I told her, I said, no, Minister, Advocate Khateb is an old woman. She's an advocate. How can I point a gun at her and force her to write a letter? Besides, when this letter was written in her office, and she actually is not the author of the letter. The author of the letter is Advocate J. Governor, who is an experienced prosecutor person who's working in that office. She's the one that drafted the letter, not you, not the Inspector General of Intelligence. The minister didn't want to hear any of that. A simple say, must stop prosecuting Mdluli, or must stop disciplinary case against Mdluli. If we talk about political interference, that was the worst I've ever experienced. At that time, Commissioner, I come from the specialized operation. The only thing I know is to chase criminals. And I'm promoted to become the acting National Commissioner, and I'm confronted with this in front of me. And I said, but this is not what I signed for when I joined the police. This can't be right. The minister can't give me these instructions. Then I said to the minister, Minister, maybe you brought me into this position and you thought you were going to use me as a pawn because perhaps of my age or whatever, but you are wrong. I'm not going to do that. If you want me to stop charging Mdluli, you must put it in black and white. And then the minister said, no, Inspector General, you must give something in writing to the National Commission to stop this investigation. Inspector General said, no, come with me to my office so I can give you a letter.
We know that in Nkosinathi Mthethwa's reign as police minister, there was a lot going on there. We know that in 2009, he helped oversee the closure of the Scorpions, which was the South African unit at the time, top unit that helped track political figures and make sure that there was no political interference going on. And we also know that in 2012, he was police minister when police gunned down dozens of miners in Marikana, which is known as the Marikana massacre. But a judicial inquiry 3 years later cleared Mthethwa of any wrongdoing. Now I will be following this case because for me, the circumstances surrounding the death are strange, as well as the timing of the death.